So today I have a sling review for your gun. This is a DIY project that I made. We're going to go over the features that I put into it, the decisions I made, and whether or not I recommend making this. So let's get into this review at the front and work our way back. So one thing that you need to figure out is what type of carabiner you want to use, or hook, or whatever, whether it's Magpul's front end or whatever it is you decide. You need to determine that. I used a S-biner because it's about 1 inch wide, and as you can see, it's in line. It's a number 2 S-biner, rated for 10 pounds. If you're running anything above 10 pounds, this may not work. It's rated for 10 pounds, but it could probably hold more. But longevity, it may wear on this S-biner part right here if you decide to use more weight. I chose this weave here because I thought it looked cool. You got black at the bottom, and then you got green on top with black. And it's about 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch thick. Okay, really tight woven. So it's not loose at all. It does appear to be loose, but it's not. That's just the design of the weave. Before you choose the weave that you want, make sure it looks comfortable. I recommend something around 1 1/4 inch or larger as far as the width is concerned, and something flat. Okay, don't double stack it like this, how I did. Even though this is woven in one continuous weave, it does add thickness to it based on the way it wraps around itself. Okay, so I recommend something wider and a lot thinner, so that way it's more flexible on your shoulder. And the width I recommend, so that way it displaces weight a lot better on your shoulder. So if you do look at the look down the spine of the Paracord weave, you'll notice you'll see 2 high ridges, one on left and right. This weave I don't recommend because it does place a lot of burden on your shoulder. It has a pressure point at the very ridge, top ridge here and here. What I mean by that is, you see the crest at the very top. So at the very top of this point, that's the only part that's going to make contact with your shoulder. And then you got these gaps in between that are digging these edges into your skin or into the fabric of your clothes, which digs into your skin and doesn't allow you to utilize these slings for long periods of time. I do recommend more of a flat weave where it basically fills in these voids and is a lot wider, more flexible, not as thick, so that way it does flex a lot easier on your shoulder. The tighter your weave, the more stiffer this is going to be on your shoulder. As you can see, it's very rigid. It does have flex, but it is very rigid compared to something like this as a strap. From there, I got a circle ring here, which is stainless. It's also coated in like a clear coat. This I picked up from a hardware store. It's a 1 inch diameter, or it's supposed to be 1 inch diameter, 1 1/4 inch. You could choose whatever it is you like. The reason why I didn't use a D-ring is, yeah, it'll condense this a little bit more, but I didn't want this to slide around and then the D-ring be in a weird place. If you decide to use a D-ring, I recommend maybe using some glue to hold the fabric in place, maybe some epoxy, so that way it doesn't twist on you. Okay, and then from there we got another S-biner hook. Also on the ends that are terminated to the paracord, I did use some heat shrink, so that way it doesn't accidentally come off. So now when I pinch this, it won't come off at all. Same thing here. Okay, these do have locks that slide upward. They allow you to utilize the hook. That's also something that I like, and they're real easy to use. And then you slide them down, and then they get wedged in between the metal and the spring mechanism. Now they don't open at all. This may easily come loose if you did get it snagged on your gear and it did kick up. It's not really a secure fit, but it does add something to the benefit of having the smaller hook or the friction lock hook. Okay, so as we work our way down, I did use a chain link here, and this is nothing fancy, some zinc plated or I forgot, galvanized plated style chain. And then for my adjustment system here, I use some molly webbing right here, and then I use paracord here for the loop, so that way you could tug on it. Okay, more molly webbing that's incorporated into the weave, so that way it holds the 1-inch molly webbing, and then you can pull it outward to make your adjustments. So this isn't really on the fly stuff. It's gonna like take practice, and also when you utilize it, it's not going to be real fast deployment, but it does allow for adjustment. I'll show you that in a little bit. I used a backpack strap style buckle here to make my adjustments. This one is, I think, from REI. They sell them other places, but it allowed me to, there's a screw here that it allowed me to take out. If you look closely, it's like a pin, and I wove around it, and then I sealed it off right here with the epoxy, so that way it didn't back out on me, because all it is threaded into the plastic right here. And then that's what I utilized there. If you pull upward on it, just pull up right here, it automatically allows you to deploy the bottom part of it really fast, just like a backpack. That's why I chose this style buckle. And then when it's parallel to itself, it locks it in place, so that way it doesn't pull at all. These things right here were made so that way even though I deploy it, I could still loop it into that and keep it up out of the way. One thing I would recommend is maybe putting a magnet in here, and then like a real strong magnet, and then instead of having these loops, put a piece of metal in between here, so that way you could just magnetize this to the sling itself really fast, and then when you need it, you can pull it and deploy it. Ability to make adjustments and stuff, this sling also goes from 1 point to 2 points, so you got a 1 point or 2 point sling option here, like so, and then you could clip it to this thing, and now you got a single point sling option. And these carabiners do function really easily. There's not a lot of like pushback as far as the spring mechanism goes, and it is a smaller opening, which is good because you don't want a large opening where this thing could open up slightly and allow your stuff to go through. So the smaller the opening, the better. It's a lot more sleek too. The only issue is pushing on it with your finger, trying to actuate it, is a little bit harder than having something a lot larger, but I found it easy to utilize my thumb on this little slide lock piece right here, so that way it just actuates it like so. Okay, also to get it to lock really easily, you could just use the carabiner, push down on it, and it snaps in. So when you push down right here on this spring pivot right here, the carabiner pushes up onto it, and then it slips it in. One issue that you could see right here is if the slide lock goes with it, it doesn't turn all the way because it has these two little holes in it like that, which doesn't allow it to make a full turn. So you don't have to worry about it camming to one side, but you do have to worry about it not allowing it to latch like so. If you're in like a combat situation, this may be an issue for you, so keep that in mind when choosing whatever it is sling that you want. This is more for recreational use purpose, I would say, not really a combat situation. I would definitely recommend following something that's already been tested and proven before getting into something like this if you're trying to do something for a combat scenario. Okay, so do I recommend doing any of this as far as making your own sling? Yeah, it's a cool DIY project. As far as functionality is concerned, I think if you address those issues, you could definitely have a pretty good functional sling that you made for sure. But I mean, as far as the time that it took to make this, it took a while. You're not going to just whip something together really fast. I did have some issues right here, gluing it, or not gluing it, but cauterizing it, because I ran out of paracord. I wasn't able to pull enough through, so I had to make do and seal it before it let go. So I hope this video gave you some idea of what you should be looking forward to when making your own sling, and whether or not it's worth the time for you. If it did, definitely give it a thumbs up. It's greatly appreciated. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting in the near future, definitely consider subscribing. Until next time, I'll see y'all in the next one.